Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. You are watching the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage here on YouTube, and I'm making a video today, which is part of a number of videos I have made recently where I'm kind of wanting to walk some of you who may be new at getting a machine, walk you through that process. And we've talked about where to find sewing machines, how much might you pay, and we got videos on that topic. I'll be adding more on those subjects. But let's pretend that this is you, and maybe you do sew, you have a newer machine, or maybe you've never sewn. It doesn't matter, but you've figured out, I've been hearing vintage sewing machines, they're built to last, they're heavy duty. I'm going to get myself one. And if you go online and look, there's no shortage, right? There's a lot of old machines out there, but you have found one, and it came in a table. Now, a lot of people, when they go looking at sewing machine, vintage machines, for example, they may say, well, I don't know, where am I going to put the table? This table is not very large. In fact, it was one of the smaller tables you could buy back in the day, and you had to buy it. Remember, as I've mentioned in other videos, a sewing machine table was not included. It was extra, sometimes a lot extra. Now, if you just said, I just need a machine and I don't need a table, you would have gotten your machine in a carry case, and it would have a wooden base that sort of looked like this. And it would have had a cover, right? So that's what you got. And some people bought their machines that way. It could be that they wanted them that way. They didn't have room for a sewing table. Or it could be they just didn't want to pay the eye-watering price that sewing tables would cost. And again, this was one of the things that the sewing machine dealer would have sold. One of the things you'll notice if you start looking for machines, that many of the sewing tables from any period in history tend to look similar. This is true of a lot of sewing brands. Now, once you start changing markets, if you go to Europe, some of the tables might look a little different. But this is a style of table that would have been sold by multiple manufacturers, and including the maker of the machine that is hiding inside. Okay, so let's take a look. What do we see? Well, you bought the table, and you get it home, and it's like, well, of course, there's some little, it looks like maybe somebody put paint there. There's a little stain over here. It could very often, when you see something like this, it's often due to water because someone ended up getting water on it. It's hard to know because, as I've said, sewing machine tables, when they were new, the original owners typically took fantastic care of them because they knew they were incredibly well made and they were incredibly expensive. But over time, they get into the hands of either family members, or they get sold, or who knows what. But they get in the hands of people who didn't have to pay for them, and they don't always realize what they've got. They don't understand the quality that went into these. So, okay, so you've got a machine here, and you're thinking, okay, well, should have a power cord, right? All right, let's open the table up first to see what we've got. By the way, if you are new to this, and you you go to open up your table and you hear a sound like the one you just heard, what is that? That is an automatic opening arm. It's a support arm for one half of the lid of your sewing table. So don't let that alarm you. Some people they're not looking for that, and it kind of surprises them. Okay, so now let's take stock. Sometimes you will get a sewing table, and it will be in rough shape on the inside, but this one seems to have fared a little better. I see what looks like maybe a little bit of, I don't know what that is, something on here, but I'm hoping it will come off. And I don't really see any veneer loss. So far, kind of lucky there. Okay. So if any of you recognize that S, you will know that is the S that stands for Singer. And this is a Singer sewing machine. I purchased this and brought it home about a week ago. All right, I'm going to open this up and we're going to pull the machine up. But before we do, I want to point something out. If you ever get a sewing machine and you're used to seeing foot pedals where people put them on the floor and they use their foot to operate the machine. And if you didn't know any better, you would start looking in a box or a bag of when you, if anything came with your machine, you'd like, well, hey, where's my pedal at? Well, the pedal, and this is not uncommon for a Singer machine. I'm putting the flashlight here, you guys can see. Now, for those of you who know vintage Singers, you will recognize that as the foot pedal. But why is it over here? Because, of course, Singer was very clever. They had the foot pedal that you see there, and it could be installed into a bracket, and it is designed to easily be taken out. And I will be investigating that pedal. But right now, don't worry, if you got one of these machines and you don't see your pedal, look inside because it could be sitting right here. Once you see it, you think, you put your palm to your forehead, go, oh yes. But, it's easy for those of us who have been studying vintage machines for years to just automatically know this. But remember, there was a time when, I didn't know where the pedal was because I didn't have 12 years of experience doing this. So if you didn't know you had a pedal and you had one, don't feel bad. We all have to learn at some point. So, okay, so what do we see? We see a lot of dust, but dust in itself is something that has to be cleaned. But that alone is not a reason not to buy a machine because, my goodness, a lot of these machines are going to clean up just beautifully. Now, I'm going to pull the machine up. If you are new at this, I want you to think about something. You need to think about, how am I going to grab the machine to pull it up? First thing we do not want to do is do not grab it by this. This is your light fixture. Your light fixture is mounted to the body of your machine with one bolt, okay, which is sitting actually in a bracket, which are underneath this lovely plate here. Do not grab it. Do not grab it by your motor. Okay, you're going to grab it under, you see where I'm putting my hand, okay? That is the center of the machine body, okay? So if you think of it like a puppy, you just pick it up by the belly and I'm going to take and switch hands. Oh, the heavy beast. Remember, these devices are cast iron and steel, and I'm in an awkward position trying to move this machine while behind the camera, but I wanted you to see this for a reason. Now, do not, when you tilt your machine back, don't just let it go all the way back and hang there. That's a lot of weight. Don't do that. Have someone behind the machine to hold it, which will be useful. Now, I would like to get access to that pedal. Okay, the pedal I was showing you, because I'm going to be inspecting it and cleaning it. And you may, by the way, come around on this side and I will show you something else that may surprise you if you're not watching. So if you take the foot pedal, right, it's in a bracket, and you push down, and it may be kind of fussy because it's been sitting there since, who knows, maybe since 1950. But we're gonna hold it. When you push, don't just push or it'll go crashing to the floor. You're gonna grab hold of it, right? Right. You see my fingers. Grab a hold of it so that as you slide it down out of the bracket, you still have hold of it. Okay. So I'm gonna push down. There it comes. And I still have it, okay? Now, if I try to put that foot pedal, I'm going to set this down just a moment so I can lower. I'm going to lower the cam here, give you guys a better view about what I want to show you. So, let's tilt it back. Now, you've got your foot pedal and you go to lower it onto the floor. But of course, there's a problem with that. What's the problem? If I try to lower the foot pedal to the floor, it doesn't go. It just hangs. Look at that. It's just hanging there. Well, what's wrong? What's wrong is actually nothing is really wrong. What has happened is when the foot pedal is installed in the bracket, it goes through the cord, it goes through a cover, and that cord is basically shortened because your pedal is in the bracket. And the more of the length of the cord, you can see it comes up through this hole in the side plate. It is going into the terminal. It is hardwired into the terminal. And if I pull on this is the cord, okay? Now I have more slack. Remember that when the machine folds into the table, the cord has to be managed in a way that doesn't entangle it. You don't want to end up pulling or yanking on the cord with the machine when you're folding it down. So in some of these machines, I have found where there's not a long enough cord. So if you want to use the foot pedal on the floor instead of the way it was designed to be used in that bracket, which is with a knee lever, which is a very convenient thing. I like knee levers, but we all vary in what we like. Sometimes I have had to lengthen the cord, and other times no. There are times when I do have enough cord, but not always. And I'm not sure why I have found it to be that way. I'm not sure what Singer's original issue or plans were. Now, if I want to remove this cord, remember there are these two little tension brackets that hold it in place. So now I've just released it. Now let's see if I have enough cord length by doing that to see if the foot pedal will touch the floor. We're going to see which one this is. So I'm going to lower it down. Sure enough, there's plenty there. So, and you can see where I just set it down on the floor. Okay. So again, if you have a foot pedal that you want to use on the floor and it is mounted to the bracket in the table, okay, you can certainly do that. However, part of the cord is installed lower our camera angle because you'll be better able to see the little brackets that I'm referring to. Okay, these two brackets right here, okay, they're really clips, they're little tension clips, and they hold the electrical cord in place. So that is why you initially are not able to get your foot pedal onto the floor. So hopefully this demystifies some of that. And set the machine down here, and we will take a look. When the cord was in those two little tension brackets, it is held in place by this piece here. Okay, there's a metal piece on each end, and the cord goes right through it. Okay, the cord it's not glued to the cord. The cord slides through it. But this is what you install in those brackets to keep everything from wiggling out of place. So, I hope that was helpful for those of you who have just gotten a machine. You've just gotten it home, and you're like, I can't even find the foot pedal. Once you have seen a machine like this and you've taken time to investigate it, you are in a better position to at least understand what you've got. So this is why very often when you buy a vintage sewing machine, do not expect to simply take it home, plug it in, and start sewing. Most of the machines that I purchase are not ready to run. Even if the seller says, oh, it runs great. It runs great the last time it was used. And I'm not suggesting that the owner is necessarily misleading you or lying to you, so usually they have no clue. You know, they just don't know most of the time. But you want to know because you're the one that will be paying for the machine. This, of course, is a Singer 201. So I had to pay more for it than I pay, you know, for some of the machines, you know, some of the Japanese machines under department store brands. I had to pay more for this, but it's a 201. It's a legendary machine, and there are people who love sewing on them, and I love sewing. I love restoring them. Just they're incredible. So again, we still have yet to find the power cord. I wonder where that is. So in the next video, we're going to kind of start looking around and see what we can see. And we'll talk about why your table is not just a table. Sometimes sewing tables, they have little hideaway places that we need to inspect. So I appreciate all of you watching and following me along as I show you literally a machine, one of the, the latest machine that I purchased actually for overhauling and restoring. If you have not already done so, you can look at any of the videos on this channel, and they all have a Buy Me a Coffee link. Feel free to click on the link and donate to the channel if you would like to support my efforts to purchase and give new life to machines that they literally just don't make anything like this anymore. Those of you who have these machines and have new machines, you already know this, but if you're new to sewing machines, you may not have realized just how incredible these vintage models are. But now that you've got one, maybe you've just bought one like this, I wanted to show you what is one of the first things you got to figure out with your machine. The table legs. Make sure if the table leg is loose, it can probably be tightened. But you need to take that into consideration. So that is the mystery of the hidden or missing, so you may have thought, foot pedal. But because Singer was clever and allowed ergonomic flexibility, you may have had your pedal there all along. I appreciate all of you watching, and stay tuned for the next video where I am going to take you further to kind of check out this machine. Again, pretending maybe this is one you bought, to figure out, what have you got? You got to kind of sit there and just sort of get a feel for everything about the machine. What is there anything missing? What might need replacing? And that'll give you an idea of how to start planning your own project of sewing machine restoration or conservation. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.